Welcome to Study Loop.
So in this problem, we are given two titration curves of two weak acids titrated by a strong base, and we have to answer two questions here. First one is, which acid is more concentrated among these two titration curves? So if this is our titration curve A and this is our titration curve B, we will have to look at the equivalence point of each titration curve to answer this question. So as we know that the equivalence point of a titration curve is basically the half point of the steeper region in the titration curve. So if we take the half point here, our uh, so this is our that will be our equivalence point. And if we just draw a straight line from the pH axis to the equivalence point, we'll see that uh, this is occurring at a pH of 10. And if we draw a straight line on the volume axis, we'll see that the equivalence point is occurring around 40 ml base. That means after adding 40 ml of base, the acid will reach the equivalence point. But in case of this graph B, we can see that if we draw the half equivalence point halfway through this, we will see that this will be somewhere here. So from the pH axis, we'll have a value of around 8 and 10, and the volume will be around the volume of the base added at equivalence point will be around 30. So that means that in titration curve A, the acid is consuming more volume of base to reach the equivalence point. And that means that uh, the acid which is more concentrated will consume more volume of base to reach the equivalence point. And therefore, since we have more volume of base consumed in curve A, that means that the acid volume in curve A, or the acid in curve A, is more concentrated than the acid in curve B. Now, in second question, we have to answer which acid has larger Ka value, and we have to consider the same thing here. The acid which will consume less volume of base, or which will require less volume of base to reach the equivalence point, will mean that that will be less concentrated, and less concentrated acids have larger Ka values. That means uh, the lower the concentration of acid, the larger the Ka value. That means since in our curve B we have lower volume of base consumed compared to the graph A where we have a higher volume of base consumed, that means our acid in graph B will have larger Ka value.